Izuku dragged himself to the gym as Monokuma had instructed. The previous class trial had completely left him mentally and emotionally drained. He still felt so many conflicting emotions about the entire situation. Monokuma, I'd like to make an announcement. Every time you overcome a class trial here at Hope's Peak, a whole new world will open up to you. Denki? A whole new world? Monokuma, yep, you got it right. A whole new world of possibilities and opportunities. I bet you can't wait to find out what those are, huh? With that, Monokuma disappeared, leaving us even more confused than when he'd shown up. But confusion and uncertainty continued to fill the room. But a small part of them couldn't help but feel a glimmer of curiosity about this whole new world Monokuma had just mentioned. Izuku, a new world? Lita. It seems Monokuma was hinting that something will change after every trial. Jirao, whatever he meant. It seems we'll have to search the school one more time. Lita, okay. Then let's split up and start investigating. When you're done, everyone meet back up at the dining hall, and we'll share what we found. The group nodded in agreement, and with that, they split up to explore and investigate the school once more. Izuku noticed the previously locked door to the second floor was open. A sense of curiosity washed over him, and he slowly made his way upstairs to investigate. As he reached the top of the stairs, he entered the second floor of the school and began looking around for anything noteworthy. Izuku entered the room and his eyes widened in surprise as he saw the massive indoor pool area. Mina? Oh, Izuku. Hey, guess what I found? A pool. There's a pool here. A pool. Pool. Izuku was a bit startled to be suddenly met by the loud and excited Mina, but he couldn't help but smile at her energy. Izuku. Yeah, I noticed. This is actually kinda shocking. I didn't expect there to be a pool here. Mina, there are a ton of exercise equipment in the locker room. Kirishima gonna go nuts when he finds out. Izuku chuckled at the thought of Kirishima being thrilled to find a gym and exercise equipment. Izuku, yeah, that sounds like something he would be happy about. Alright, Izuku. Hey Toru, have you checked out the pool yet? Toru excitedly nodded her head. Toru, of course. I can't believe there was a pool here this whole time. Mina? Oh, and I guess you need your handbook to get into the locker rooms? Izuku raised an eyebrow, a bit surprised by that fact. Izuku, really? So you need your handbook to enter the locker room? Monokuma, really? They all jolted a bit, startled by the sudden appearance of Monokuma. They hadn't heard him sneaking up on them. Monokuma, if you wanna unlock the locker room, you'll have to swipe your personal handbook across the card reader next to the door. However, to ensure maximum security within each locker room, only a boy's handbook can open the boys' locker room, and the same goes for the girls. And that's the bottom line. Mina, but what if someone opens the door, and then someone else sneaks in? Monokuma, anyone who commits such indecency will be punished without mercy for their scandalous sexual depravity. See, there's a Gatling gun mounted on the ceiling, right? And it'll be all DUKKADU, KKADU, They all exchanged nervous glances at Monokuma's threat. The idea of a Gatling gun being pointed at them in case they tried to sneak into the wrong locker room was definitely enough to dissuade any notions of indecency. Monokuma, okay, so the new regulation is now in place. See, yeah. Monokuma then disappeared, leaving them to themselves again. They all couldn't help but feel a little uneasy about the whole situation. But at least the locker room issue had been clarified. Mina, that stupid bear totally ruined my mood. Maybe I'll go take a dip to cheer myself up. Mina, Jirao, Toru, you wanna come with me? Jirao shrugged. Jirao, sure. Why not? I could use a swim to distract myself from this whole situation. Toru eagerly nodded in agreement. Toru, count me in. Let's go have some fun in the pool. As the girls went to change into their swimsuits, Izuku continued to explore the second floor on his own. He walked around, checking every corner and crevice for anything noteworthy. His curiosity piqued, Izuku entered the library, his eyes scanning the vast array of books, from fiction to non-fiction, organized neatly on the shelves. He wandered around the library, taking note of its vast collection and the comfortable atmosphere it provided. The silence of the library was oddly soothing in contrast to the despairing situation they were currently in. Startled by the sudden voice, Izuku looked over to see Shoto Todoroki standing a few feet away, also admiring the library. He had been so immersed in looking around that he hadn't even noticed Shoto's presence. Izuku nodded in agreement. Yeah, this library really is something. It's like a peaceful haven in the middle of all this despair. Mineta and Denki, where's the comic books? Where's the young adult section? Asu, comic books? Young adult? that stuff's a waste of time. Asu was standing nearby, shaking her head at Denki and Minetta's excitement over comic books and young adult books. She clearly didn't see the appeal in them. Momo, it's remarkably dusty in here, and the lighting is less than ideal. For a library, it's not the kind of place I'd want to do much reading in. Izuku, it looks like a laptop. The laptop looks pretty old, and it's all covered in dust. Momo, it's broken. I tried pressing the power button earlier, but nothing happened. Izuku, it's broken. Huh, too bad. Izuku and Momo both looked at the broken laptop, disappointment etched on their faces. It was unfortunate that they couldn't make use of it, but perhaps it could still provide some useful information if they could fix it. Izuku, the shelf is covered in dust, but on the shelf is a letter. What's this? Hope's Peak Academy? Izuku had discovered a dusty letter on one of the library's shelves, its contents piquing his curiosity. Picking it up, he noticed that it was addressed to Hope's Peak Academy, and his mind immediately began to wonder. Momo. It was buried under a thick layer of dust. It must have been sitting there for quite a while. Well, shall we see what's inside? Izuku, but we shouldn't read other people's mail without their permission. Momo, that's true, but considering our current situation, I think it might be a good idea to take a look at it. Who knows, it might contain informations that could prove useful to us. Izuku, oh okay. Reluctantly, Izuku agreed, the need for information weighing heavily on his mind. With a hint of nervousness, he carefully opened the letter. From the Hope's Peak Academy Executive Office. Throughout the years, we have been committed to shaping the youth who will one day shape the world. We have a long, proud history as an institution of higher learning with full government support. Our graduates enter society ready to take on active leadership roles in every major job field. However, Hope's Peak Academy must now lower the curtain on its glorious history. For the time being, this decision was not an easy one to make, but serious issues beyond our control have made it necessary. But make no mistake, this is not the end for Hope's Peak Academy. We intend to reopen outdoors as soon as the issues forcing our closure have been resolved. That being said, this is the end for now, and I would like to personally and sincerely thank everyone for your help and support over the years. For now, we are awaiting official governmental authorization to formally cease operations. Izuku, what does this mean? Shoto and the contents of this letter are quite interesting indeed. Momo, it would seem Hope's Peak had stopped functioning as a school, and judging by the amount of dust the letter had collected, it doesn't seem to have happened recently. If I had to guess, I'd say this letter could be at least a year old. Izuku, so, you're saying Hope's Peak closed down at least a year ago? Momo nodded, her expression solemn. Momo, that seems to be the case. If we assume the letter's age to be accurate, then it's likely Hope's Peak closed down around a year ago, or possibly longer. It's quite shocking to think about. Bakugo, most likely, the mastermind took over the abandoned school in order to put on this little performance. Bakugo had suddenly appeared next to them, scaring Izuku with his unexpected presence. Izuku's heart skipped a beat, the sudden realization making him jump. Izuku, oh, Kei-Kachin, you startled me. Bakugo raised an eyebrow at Izuku's reaction. Bakugo, geez, don't be so easily startled, Deku. It's just me, Bakugo. I was bored so I came here. I listened to the whole conversation. Bakugo, someone should hold on to it. Momo agreed with Bakugo's suggestion, her logical mind recognizing the importance of keeping such a critical document in safe hands. Momo, yes, I think that's a good idea. I'll take hold of it for now. I assure you, I'll ensure it remains secure. Izuku spoke up, realizing that everyone must be waiting for them by now. Izuku, yeah. We should return to the cafe. Everyone's probably wondering what's taking us so long. Lita. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how'd it go? Did anyone discover any interesting new anything? Minetta. There's a library, Mina, and a pool, a freakin' pool, and locker rooms filled with exercise equipment. Denki's eyes widened at the mention of the pool. Denki? Holy crap, a pool? I'm so going for a dip later. Tokoyami. There was not, however, anything resembling an escape route. Lita. Well, hey. There's no reason to get all sulky. Wait till you hear about my amazing discovery. Denki leaned forwards, eager to learn more. Denki. Oh yeah? What did you find? Lita. The warehouse and bathhouse on the first floor of the dorms are now open, and the warehouse is chock full of food, clothes, whatever you want. There's so much it's insane. So go ahead and stuff yourself to the gills whenever you feel like. Ha ha ha. Denki, wait. Did you say a bathhouse? Like, a real bath? No joke? Jirao. Keep in mind, of course, that going out at nighttime is still prohibited. Please do not forget. Tokoyami nodded, adding to Jirao's reminder. Tokoyami indeed. Wandering the halls after dark could be dangerous. We must remain vigilant and adhere to the curfew for our own safety. Momo. So, are we done for today? Denki yawned, stretching out his limbs. Denki? Yeah. I'm beat. All walking around has made me super tired. Let's call it a day for now. Izuku, see you guys tomorrow. The others nodded in agreement, bidding each other farewell for the night. They all began to disperse, making their way back to their respective rooms, each lost in their own thoughts about the day's events. The morning. Mina. Mornin'. Izuku. Izuku turned to greet Mina with a smile, feeling a bit more energized than the day before. Izuku. Good morning. Is everyone here already? Satao. Nope. Still waiting on Shoto and Lita. Bakugo, no surprise, but it's strange Lita not here yet. Jirao. Knowing Ida, I imagine he is trying to get the king of tardiness up and out of bed. I don't mind waiting for them, but there is one problem. Izuku raised an eyebrow, curious about what could possibly be bothering Jirao. Izuku, what's the problem? Jirao. I am thirsty. Izuku chuckled at Jirao's simple dilemma. It seemed like a minor issue, but one that still needed to be addressed. Izuku, you're thirsty? How about we grab something to drink from the dining hall? I'm sure the others won't mind us going ahead. Mineta, who had been quietly observing the conversation, perked up at Jirao's request. Mineta? Sure thing, Jirao. I can totally make you some tea. Mineta quickly disappeared into the kitchen, determined to fulfill Jirao's tea request. Izuku watched him go, a mix of amusement and disbelief on his face, wondering how good Mineta's tea brewing skills were. A few minutes later, Mineta returned with a steaming cup of tea in his hands. Mineta. Here you go, 1 cup of tea for the beautiful lady. Jirao, wait. She cocked her head to the side, and threw the cup as hard as she could at the wall. Crash. Everyone jumped at the sound of the cup shattering against the wall. They exchanged surprised glances, confused by Jirao's unexpected action. Mineta looked stunned, his confident expression turning into one of disbelief. Mineta? What's wrong? I thought you wanted tea. Jirao, I hate this kind of tea. Mineta sputtered, clearly offended by Jirao's harsh words. Mineta. How could you say that? I brewed that tea for you with love and care. Jirao, imagine we are at a coffee shop, just any normal, everyday cafe. I sit down, and I order some tea. They then ask me, would you like lemon or milk? Now, further imagine that I replied, yes, I would like milk tea, please. In this case, along with my tea they may bring me a small container of milk. Yes, but this is not for me. I am among those who prefer the milk to be part of the process from the outset. The fragrance is just so overwhelmingly sweet that way. Adding milk or lemon right before you drink is like dousing your fries in ketchup, mere condiments. Whenever looking for a cafe, I first review their menu to see if it offers the proper style of milk tea, and I cannot acknowledge any milk tea that does not add the milk during the brewing process. Jiro's passionate tirade left everyone speechless. They stared at her, dumbfounded by her strong preference for milk tea preparing methods. Mineta scratched his head, utterly bewildered. Mineta? So, you're saying you only like milk tea that's brewed with the milk already in it? And you hate any other kind of milk tea? Jirao, that does not matter. Hurry up and bring me what I asked for, swine. Mineta grumbled under his breath at being called a swine, but he quickly hurried back into the kitchen, determined to fulfill Jirao's request. The rest exchanged knowing looks, amused by Jirao's strong-willed personality. Lita, bad news, everyone? There is a mystery afoot. Ida's sudden declaration grabbed everyone's attention, their curiosity piqued by the mention of a mystery. Izuku, a mystery? What do you mean, Ida? Lita. It would seem Bakugo or Shoto refuses to leave their room. I stood there pressing both doorbell over and over, but they never showed himself. The group exchanged glances, eyebrows furrowed in concern and confusion. Mina. Both of them are refusing to come out? That's weird. Lita. I'd like to think so, but I'm worried something might have happened to them. The others nodded, their worry growing. Denki, yeah. It's odd for both of them to be refusing to answer at the same time. We should probably check it out. Izuku. It might be a good idea if we all split up and go look for one of them. Everyone agreed with Izuku's suggestion. It made sense to cover more ground that way. Kauta. Alright, let's split up then. We should search all over the dorm building, just to be thorough. Mina? Yeah, we should take this seriously just in case. Izuku made his way up to the second floor, his footsteps echoing softly in the stairwell. As he approached Shoto's room, he stopped in front of the door and knocked gently. Izuku, Shoto Kaken? Are you in there? As Izuku entered the library, he noticed Shoto sitting in a corner, engrossed in a book. He silently approached him, curious about what he was reading. Izuku, Shoto, what are you doing here in the library? And why didn't you answer the door? Shoto, Well, you had no reason to be, I was just reading. I've never read such a coarse novel before, but it might just prove useful at some point. Izuku raised an eyebrow, intrigued by Shado's cryptic response. He took a closer look at the book to see what it was about. Izuku, useful at some point? What do you mean by that? And what kind of book is it anyways? Shoto. A mystery novel. Izuku's curiosity was piqued. He couldn't help but wonder if there was a connection between the mystery novel and the present situation. Izuku mystery, eh? Interesting choice. But why are you reading it now? And in the library, of all places? Shoto. I was just in the mood to read. Izuku looked at Shoto quizzically, still trying to figure out his strange behavior. Izuku, in the mood to read, huh? You know, it's not like you to lock yourself in the library and ignore everyone. It's a bit odd, don't you think? Lita bust in, you found him. Izuku jumped at the sudden interruption as Lita burst into the room, nearly giving him a heart attack. Izuku, Lita, what the? Jesus, you gave me a fright. Lita composed himself, panting from his hurried pace. Lita. Sorry about that, Midoriya. I've been searching everywhere. I'm just relieved that you found him. Everyone, including Izuku and Shoto, turned their attention to the doorway where Bakugo trudged in, his eyes half-lidded with sleepiness. Denki chuckled softly. Looks like someone just woke up from a cat nap, he said jokingly. Bakugo, want me to kill you? No, or later, your choice. Ida, always the composed one, stepped forward and explained the situation. Lita, we were trying to locate both you and Shoto, but neither of you were responding to your doorbells. We became concerned and searched the entire dorm building for you. Bakugo, oh, I was sleeping, that why? Denki, unable to resist, chimed in. Denki, sleeping like a log? More like it. It took forever to wake you up. Punch him, Bakugo, you talk too much. But what icy hot reading for? Denki winced in pain as he rubbed his tender face. Shoto, who hadn't said much until now, replied to Bakugo's question without looking up from this book. Shoto, it's a detective novel. Mineta, wait, so are you gonna use what you're learning in there to betray us? Shoto raised an eyebrow, looking slightly amused by Mineta's paranoid question. Shoto, why would I need a detective novel to betray you? And why would I even consider betraying you in the first place? Shoto, but it's just something to keep in mind. Denki laughed at Shoto's deadpan response, but Ida, always the voice of reason, interjected. Lita, Shoto is trustworthy, and his interest in detective novels doesn't imply any ill intentions. Let's not jump to conclusions. Shoto, if I decide to fight, of course I'll come up with something original. Otherwise, this game of ours will be totally boring, right? It's not often you get to take part in such a high-stakes, high-tension activity, so if you're going to do it, you have to make sure it's entertaining. Denki furrowed his brow, trying to figure out Shoto's intentions behind his words. Denki, dude, what are you talking about? High-stakes entertainment? What game are you even referring to? Shoto, but it is a game. It's a game of life or death, which can have only one winner. That's all there is to it. Denki's confusion deepened, but before he could probe further, Izuku interjected, his voice tinged with a mixture of concern and curiosity. Izuku, Shoto, what do you mean by only one winner? Are you implying that some of us won't make it out? Jirao, it is a part of game theory, a mathematical model. In game theory, what we are going through now is called a zero-sum game. In this type of game, in order for one person to gain something, another must necessarily lose something. In other words, it is a situation in which participants must compete for position or resources. Ida nodded, understanding Shoto's explanation. Lita, so you're saying that what we're experiencing is a zero-sum game, where in order for some to succeed, others must inevitably fail. That's a rather depressing perspective, I must say. Satao, you mean like a kind of elimination match? Mina, who had been mostly listening, chimed in with a slightly fearful expression. Mina? Yeah. It's as if we're all in a battle royale or something. Shoto, so this game was designed from the beginning to force one of us to try and defeat all the others. Denki, that can't be what they had in mind. Everyone exchanged anxious glances, the weight of Shoto's words hanging heavy in the air. Izuku, but if that's true, then one of us is destined to turn against the others. That's just unacceptable. We have to find another explanation, right? Jirao, this is why adaptation is so crucial. If those who want to escape were to disappear, there would be no reason to continue playing the game. Everyone fell into a somber silence as Jirao's words sunk in. The realization that one of them was destined to become the traitor was a hard pill to swallow. Mina, you talk like that, but what if you end up dead? Lita placed a comforting hand on Mina's shoulder, his expression solemn. Lita, Mina, We cannot afford to think like that. We have to believe that we will all make it through this alive, together. Satao, who the fuck do you think you are? Satao's sudden outburst caught Shoto off guard, but he remained unflinchingly calm. Shoto raises an eyebrow. What are you going on about? Satao, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Izuku, who had been quietly observing the situation, jumped into action, and grabbed Satao's arm. Izuku, Satao, cool it. We shouldn't be fighting amongst ourselves. We need to stay united if we want any chance of getting out of here. Toru, that's a terrible way to look at it. This isn't a game. Our lives are on the line, you know. To kill your own friends is. Mina broke the silence with a shaky voice. Mina, tears forming in her eyes. It's true. This isn't a game. We're all friends here. We shouldn't be accusing each other and fighting. Bakugo, in this game no friends at the battle of survival. Bakugo's blunt words cut through the tension like a sharp knife. Denki, eyes widen. What? You can't be serious, Bakugo. We're not just gonna fight each other for our lives. We're friends. Shadow, I actually agree with Bakugo at his battle of the survival, but I still have a small feeling that we will get out of this mess. Mina wiped her tears, trying to stay strong. Kirishima clenched his fists. Kirishima, we may be stuck in a terrible situation, but we can't forget our bonds. We'll find a way out together. Ida nodded in agreement, his expression resolute. Ida, exactly. We may be fighting for survival, but we're not animals. We can't let fear and paranoia tear us apart. They went their separate ways, and then it was night time, and Izuku was hungry, and was going to get a midnight snack until Izuku quietly made his way down the dark hallway, carefully avoiding any noise that could alert the others. He was on his way to the kitchen, hungry for a midnight snack. As he turned a corner, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Something was off. Lita, hey! Izuku, perfect timing. Izuku nearly jumped out of his skin at the sudden voice. He turned to see Lita standing at the end of the hall. Izuku, Lita, you scared me. What's going on? Satao, I have a favor to ask. Izuku raised an eyebrow, curiosity piqued. Izuku, sure. What do you need? Satao, come on. Makoto, you gotta be our witness. Izuku was confused, but agreed. Izuku, you're not listening to anything. Sure. I don't mind. Witness for what? Exactly, Satao. This guy's been talking shit about me since day one, calling me a coward and shit like that. Izuku furrowed his brow, sensing that this was about more than just name calling. Izuku, sounds like you've had quite the quarrel with this person, but why do you need me as a witness? Satao, there's a bathhouse on the first floor of the dorm, right? With a sauna inside? Izuku nodded, remembering the location of the bathhouse. Izuku, yeah, that's correct. What about it? Lita, I see, a simple endurance contest, is it? We're going to see who can stay in the sauna the longest. Am I right? Realization dawned on Izuku, and he understood what Satao was getting at. Izuku, oh, I get it now. You're challenging each other to a test of endurance in the sauna to settle this dispute. Satao nodded, his expression determined. Satao, that's right. The one who lasts longer in the sauna will be considered the stronger of the two. In the sauna, Lita, hey? Satao gritted his teeth, beads of sweat trickling down his forehead. The heat of the sauna was intense, but he was determined not to give in. Satao, yeah, what is it, Lita? Lita, you can take off your uniform? Yeah, no, go ahead. I won't judge. Satao, and you can shut the fuck up, and mind your own business. I mean, look at you, your face is all red. What are you? One of those goddamn hot spring monkeys. Lita, it just so happens. I was born with a red face. Satao let out a scoff, sweat glistening on his bare chest. Satao, yeah? Sure, like I haven't heard that one before. Just admit you're about to snap any minute now. Lita, act, you say? Ha ha ha, I'm still plenty good to go. I'm so good. I could eat a steaming hot bowl of soup right now. Satao rolled his eyes at Lita's words, clearly not buying it. Satao, you think I'm buying that? You're practically steaming, hothead. Give it up already. The night announcement went off. Izuku, hey, did you hear that? It's nighttime. How about we call it a tie? Lita, in a true competition, there's no such thing as a tie. You win, or you lose. That's the only thing that matters. Satao chuckled, impressed by Lita's determination despite the heat. Satao, you're quite the stubborn one, aren't ya? But I'm not backing down either. Let's keep going. Izuku, okay. Well, good night then. Both Satao and Lita nodded, too focused on their competition to respond. Izuku left the sauna, leaving the two to continue their test of endurance. The next morning, the other students gathered in the cafe for breakfast, looking tired and weary. Denki, yawns, geez, I slept like crap last night. Satao, Bahahaha, what are you talking about, bro? Lita? Kahahaha, what are you talking about, bro? Denki and the others raised their eyebrows at Satao and Lita's cheerful demeanor, considering they both looked pretty haggard. Denki, what's with the weirdly good moods, you two? Izuku, what the? Satao, hey. Izuku, Lita, thank you so much for acting as our witness yesterday. Izuku, huh, are they friends now? Denki scratched his head, equally confused. Denki, it seems that way, but how did they go from a heated argument to being buddy-buddy like this overnight? The others nodded in agreement with Mina's sentiment. It seems strange for two people who were at each other's throats the previous night to be acting like the best of friends suddenly. Kirishima couldn't help but chime in. Kirishima, yeah, it's a bit unsettling. Ain't it? Satao feels gross? Hell no, feels great, more like. Denki crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. Denki, great you say? Care to explain how a sudden change of heart can happen so fast? Lita, forget him bro, he doesn't get our manly bond. Friendship between men is stronger than blood. A dork could never understand. Satao, what you just said. Bro, that was cool as shit. I should get a tattoo of it. Lita? No, bro, you mustn't. Your body is a temple, given to you by your loving parents. Satao bro, your words speak directly to my soul. I promise no ink shall touch my skin. Izuku so, who won the contest? Satao and Lita exchanged grins before Lita spoke up. Lita, it was a tie. Satao yeah. We both lasted the entire night without giving in. The others exchanged confused glances. Denki wait. You both spent the entire night in the sauna. Satao nodded, still smiling. Satao, yep. No breaks, no giving in. Just pure willpower and manly spirit. Ding dong, bing bong. Monokuma, ahem. School announcement. School announcement. All students please gather in the gym immediately. Emergency, emergency. The students exchanged worried glances and quickly made their way to the gym, the announcement's urgency causing a sense of unease to spread through the group. They entered the gym and found Monokuma waiting for them. His cheerful demeanor was a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere he had just created. Monokuma, grinning good morning, everyone, I hope you all slept well last night. Monokuma, I'm low on energy these days. My stitching's even losing all its shine and luster. I'm thinking, it's probably because of this ho-hum, boring old everyday life. I'm looking for something with a little more stimulation, something rife with danger and intrigue. Listen, can I just be frank? The next Blacken hasn't shown up yet, and I'm getting bored. So, I've decided to come up with a new way to motivate you. Monokuma, embarrassing memories and secrets. As long as you're alive, it's a given that there's things you don't want other people to know about you. So I did a little investigating of my own, and I dug up some of your darkest secrets. Izuku, as Monokuma spoke, he tossed the envelopes at our feet. I quickly snatched the envelope with my name written on it. I nervously pulled out what was written inside, and my entire body suddenly went rigid. Denki, standing next to Izuku, noticed his sudden change in demeanor. Concern etched on his face, he asked, Denki dude, you alright? What's in that envelope? Izuku didn't respond, his eyes wide and filled with dread. He seemed paralyzed by whatever it was he had read. The others exchanged worried glances, wondering what secrets had been revealed to make their friend act this way. A few more students nervously opened their envelopes, their reactions ranging from shock to embarrassment. The secrets they had hoped to keep buried were now laid bare for everyone to see. Monokuma, you have 24 hours. If someone doesn't become blackened by then, all your deepest, darkest, most embarrassingest secrets will be exposed to the world. Maybe I'll roll by a crowded intersection in a van strapped with loudspeakers and spill the beans. Kaya, wouldn't that be so embarrassing? The students' faces paled at the thought of their secrets being revealed publicly. Panic and desperation set in as they realized the true nature of Monokuma's new motive. Next day, Monokuma, good morning. Izuku, you are. Monokuma, a pew-poo. Nice reaction. I'm glad to see you didn't disappoint. Izuku, what are you doing here? Monokuma, I wanted to spice things up, so instead of a school announcement, I decided to wake you up in person. Izuku, that's messed up. You scared the crap out of me, Monokuma, and as long as I'm here, I figured I'd let you hear it right from the bear's mouth. Izuku scowled, his annoyance only growing with each word from Monokuma's mouth. Izuku, and why should I believe anything you have to say? Monokuma, are you sure you should be acting this laid back? I mean, even though something happened to one of your buddy classmates? Izuku tensed at the mention of a classmate and felt his heart skip a beat. Izuku, what are you talking about? Monokuma, what? Your face is all blue, like someone on the verge of death. Izuku clenched his fists, fear and worry creeping into his expression. Izuku, just get to the point. What happened to one of my classmates? Izuku grits his teeth, anger and fear swirling within him. He knew that whatever happened couldn't be good. He quickly dashed out of the dorms, heading towards the school. Izuku, where is everyone? Izuku frantically searched for any sign of his classmates, worry growing with each second that passed. The usually lively school grounds seemed eerily quiet, devoid of any presence except for his own. Izuku's mind raced, trying to come up with explanations for the eerie silence. He reached the school building, and quickly entered, hoping to find someone, anyone, who could shed some light on what was happening. Izuku collided with Shoto, nearly tripping over his own feet. Izuku, oh, Shoto, there you are. Shoto, I was looking for you, follow me. Izuku nodded, relieved that he had found someone he could trust. Izuku, all right, lead the way. Shoto started walking, and Izuku followed close behind him. Izuku's anxiety grew with each step as he wondered what could be so urgent that Shoto had been searching for him. As they reached the pool area, Izuku's eyes widened at the sight before him. Something was clearly amiss, but he couldn't quite tell what. Izuku Shoto, what's going on here? Monokuma, for this investigation, I have unlocked the doors. Please look around to your heart's content. Izuku felt a knot form in his stomach as he heard Monokuma's cheerful voice. Izuku? Investigation? Investigation of what? Shoto. Just as I thought. Shoto's calm demeanor sent a shiver down Izuku's spine. He had a feeling that something terrible had happened. Izuku Shoto, whatever it is, tell me, please. Shoto, judging from what he just said, there can be no doubt a murder really has taken place. And the locker rooms, they're suspicious. Very suspicious indeed. Wouldn't you agree? Izuku's heart skipped a beat at the word murder. His worst fears were coming true. He hesitantly nodded, his voice barely a whisper. Izuku. Why yeah, I agree. The locker rooms, let's check there. Shoto. Let's start with the girls' locker room. Izuku gulped, his anxiety rising even further as they approached the girls' locker room. He had never entered this area before, and the thought of what they might find inside filled him with dread. They reached the door, and Shoto tentatively opened it. The sight inside made both of them freeze in their tracks. Izuku felt a wave of nausea wash over him as he took in the sight before him. Toru, their classmate, hanging. Her usually cheerful presence was replaced by a grim stillness. Shoto, most unusual, don't you think? Look, Toru's corpse has been suspended somehow, and something's been written on the wall, in blood. Bloodlust? Izuku's eyes widened as he read the words on the wall. Bloodlust. What did that mean? And how could they have missed something as gruesome as this happening right in the school? He looked back at Toru's body, his throat feeling dry as he tried to find words to respond. Lita, hey, I heard screaming, did something. Toru? Lita entered the locker room, his expression turning to horror as he saw Toru lying motionless on the ground. Lita? No, this can't be happening. Monokuma, a body has been discovered. After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, the class trial will begin. Izuku clenched his fists, anger and despair mixing together in his heart. How could this happen? How could someone take the life of another student in this godforsaken place? Lita bolted out of the locker room. As everyone made their way to the scene, it felt as if no time at all passed. It was like my sense of time had just taken wing and flown away. When I finally came back to myself, I say everyone had the same look of confusion, fear and anger. We all just stood there, gathered around Toru's body. Mina? Damn, I couldn't keep her safe. Shaoji. So there's another victim. Jirao, which means we are now in the same position once again. Satao. Fuck man. What the fuck is this? Mineta. It's a dream. This is a dream. It's all just a dream. In fact, I haven't even been born yet. I don't have any memory of ever being alive. Ujaya. Jirao. Shut up. After getting of the evidence they get ready for the class trial. Monokuma. Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay then, so first off, let's talk about the murder weapon. Kirishima. Toru fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound. Lita. According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a blunt instrument, but what kind of blunt instrument could it have been? Denki. I bet it was an iron pie. Izuku. No, that wrong. Izuku, can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell found at the scene of the crime? It was covered in blood, and there was nothing else at the scene that could have caused that kind of injury. Momo. and the wound on the victim's head is consistent with the shape of the dumbbell. As far as I'm concerned, there's no mistake, and no room for doubt on this one. Mina, you, looked at her head wound. Mineta, Kaya, that's so creepy. Shoto, if you don't mind, I will proceed from here. Let's move on to discussion of the culprit. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is already quite clear. Shoto, Toru Killer is the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack. Shoto, the culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure of it. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned. Mina, but, that's impossible. Bakugo? Why? What makes it impossible? Mina, well, I mean, come on, there's just no proof for. Izuku, no it wrong. Izuku might know one reason he could be involved. Mina, what? Izuku, I found this file while I was looking around the archive in the library. I guess it's some kind of confidential file the police put together about the Genocide Jack case. Krishima, what? That's kinda weird as shit, isn't it? What was something like that doing in the library? Shadow, the why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth. So let's forget about that for now. More importantly, it outlines all the specifics of every Genocide Jack case in exceeding detail. According to the file, there appear to be two defining characteristics in every Genocide Jack case. The first is that a bloody message is found written at the scene of every murder. Jirao, and the second, Bakugo, the other characteristic, and it's something that has never been made public. Denki, so what is it? What other characteristic? Izuku, apparently, in every Genocide Raven case, the killer suspends the body in a certain way. Other than the killer, the only people who know about this are the higher-ups in the police department. Ajiro, you're saying that the way Toru's body was found shows that the culprit has got to be the real Genocide Jack? Shoto? Yeah, Shoto, so, how did the culprit know about this? When only high-level police officials were aware of it? There's only one logical answer I can think of. It's because the culprit in this case is the real Genocide Jack. Jirao, you're saying Genocide Jack is one of us? Bakugo? Yes, in fact, it's Asu. Mina, but that's impossible. There's just no way she could be the killer. Shoto, Genocide Jack's true identity is Tsuyu Asu. The room seemed to grow colder as Shoto's words hung in the air. One by one, the students turned to face Asu, their gazes filled with a mix of horror, betrayal, and disbelief. They had all grown close to her over the time they'd spent together, and the thought of her being capable of cold-blooded murder was almost too much to comprehend. Asu looked around at the faces now staring hard at her, their eyes filled with shock and accusation. She swallowed hard, her usual composure faltering under the weight of their gazes. Mina? Hey. Okay, wait. Hold on a sec. Asu has bloodophobia, or whatever, Remember, what kind of serial killer is afraid of blood? Izuku, is it because Genocide Jack has a split personality? Mina? A split personality. You're saying that means Asu has a whole nother person inside her head? Shoto. Perfectly acceptable. Asu's strange behavior after seeing the body is proof enough that she has a split personality. Izuku, you're talking about how she started acting totally different than usual, right? Shoto. Yes, exactly. She completely lost control of her emotions when faced with the body. That's not normal behavior from someone like her. Lita, she was acting funny? That's for sure. That melancholy tone of hers completely disappeared. Satao, man, that's creepy. That must mean there are two totally different people living in Asu's head, right? Shoto. Well, the opening act is nearly finished. All that's left is to hear from the person in question directly. Asu suddenly collapsed, her body hitting the floor with a thud. The students let out gasps of surprise as they rushed towards her crumpled form. Mina and Denki were by her side in an instant, crouching down to check her pulse and see if she was all right. The other students gathered around, concern etched on their faces as they waited for an update on Asu's condition. Got right back up. Asu. Well, hello there. Is it me you were hoping to see? The other students immediately took a step back, spooked by Asu's sudden change in demeanor. It was as if a completely different person was standing before them, using Asu's body like a puppet. She looked around at their stunned faces, a sly smile playing at the corners of her lips. Her gaze lingered on each student in turn, as if sizing up her prey. Asu. So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. What are ya gonna do? Satao. What the fuck is this? Lita, Asu, what happened to you? Asu, or rather, Genocide Jack, looked over at Lita, her eyes glinting mischievously, her lips curled into a sly smile as she took a step towards him. Genocide Jack. Oh, you're talking about little old Asu. She's still here, don't worry. She's just taking a back seat while I take the wheel. Kaihahaha. Denki? She's so intense. Genocide Jack let out another high-pitched laugh, her voice filled with a wild energy that was completely foreign to them. Genocide Jack? Damn right I am. You better watch yourself, Sparky. I could rip out your little spark plug in a heartbeat. But Hugo, this one is so different from the one we've come to know. Genocide Jack, of course I am. Asu's all dull and boring. She's got no life, no passion, no fire. I'm the one who brings the party to life. Kaya Minetta. Miss Jack, Jill, can I ask you a question? Genocide Jack turned her attention to Minetta, her gaze filled with a sharp intelligence that was almost unsettling. Genocide Jack. Sure thing, Pipsqueak, what's on your little mind? Minetta, some of us think you might be the mastermind behind our entire situation. What are your thoughts on that? Genocide Jack's face darkened slightly at his words, her smile turning into a smirk. Genocide Jack. Well, I'll tell you, I am the mastermind of all masterminds. Just kidding, Shoto. This should be enough to convince you. This murderous fiend is responsible for Toru's death. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt. Shoto. This should be enough to convince you. This murderous fiend is responsible for Toru's death. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt. Kirishima. A motive? Shoto, remember what Monokuma told us? If someone didn't murder and graduate within 24 hours, an embarrassing memory or secret would be revealed. Well, let's assume that Asu's secret was about Genocide Jack. If a secret like that came to light, Asu's life would have undoubtedly been forever ruined, so she had a very clear motive to never have that side of herself exposed. Genocide Jack. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. But sorry, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not the culprit, Jirao. But I cannot imagine anyone other than you could murder someone in such a bizarre fashion. Genocide Jack, sorry, but I didn't kill anyone. Kirishima, you say that, but do you really expect any of us to believe it? Jirao, perhaps if you had an alibi, that would change things. Genocide Jack, oh, an alibi, huh? Now we're talking. Shoto, when you compare your past murders to this incident, the mod, Izuku, no, that wrong. Genocide Jack's eyes gleamed with excitement, her sly smile widening even further at their words. She clearly relished the attention, even if she was being accused of murder. Genocide Jack, ahaho. So you want an alibi, huh? You want me to prove that I wasn't the one who murdered little Toru? Izuku, are the methods of murder really exactly the same? I'm not so sure about that. I think there's a slight difference between the Genocide Jack cases and this one. Genocide Jack's eyes narrowed. Her smile faltered for a moment as she heard what he had to say. Genocide Jack. You think so, huh? Well then, do enlighten me. What exactly is this difference that you claim to have spotted? Izuku, for one, the cause of death is different. In the Genocide Jack murders, all the victims were killed the same way. According to the case file, they were all apparently killed with a pair of scissors. But Izuku died from a blow to the head, right? Genocide Jack's lips curled upwards once more, her eyes glinting with a sly intelligence that was almost unsettling. Genocide Jack, you're observant. I'll give you that. Yes, you're right. The cause of death in this case is different from my usual modus operandi. Genocide Jack raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued by what he was saying. Her smile turned a little bit more sinister as she leaned in closer, eager to hear what else he had to say. Genocide Jack. Go on, don't keep me in suspense. What else do you think is different? Izuku, do you remember what the killer used to suspend her? They'd use some kind of rope to hang her up by her wrists. Jirao, what is your point? Izuku, well, in all the previous Genocide Jack cases, something else was used to suspend them, specifically pairs of razor-sharp scissors. Genocide Jack. And guess what? I used my own specially designed scissors for the murders and the arrangement. Like I said, I'm a professional, so naturally I'm very picky about the tools I use. And yeah, know what else? Big Mac said there's two differences, but he's wrong. Izuku, Big Mac, are you referring to me? Genocide Jack. Listen up, Big Mac. There's actually one more difference, my word. You really didn't notice? Take a look at who the victims were in each Genocide Jack case. There's a pattern there just waiting to be discovered. Kirishima, eh? Pattern? Genocide Jack? Yeah. A pattern, it's right in front of all your faces. And yet somehow none of you have noticed. It's hilarious. Izuku, is it because Toru was a girl? Genocide Jack. Bingo. Genocide Jack let out a loud, high-pitched laugh, her voice ringing out through the room. Genocide Jack. Simple, all my past victims were men. Toru was the first woman to be targeted by me, and well, I've never been one for sloppy work, let alone changing my modus operandi. Kaihahaha. Genocide Jack let out a loud, high-pitched laugh, her voice ringing out through the room. Genocide Jack. Simple, all my past victims were men. Toru was the first woman to be targeted by me, and well, I've never been one for sloppy work. Let alone changing my modus operandi. Kai ha 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 ha, Krishima, the hell is wrong with you? Genocide Jack just cackled in response. Completely unbothered by the horrified looks on everyone's faces, she reveled in causing fear and panic. And the fact that she had managed to unsettle them all so deeply was clearly a source of great amusement to her. Lita. So since Toru was a girl, and not an adorable little manaya, wouldn't kill her? Genocide Jack. Well, that's one way to put it, but yeah. You get the gist. I'm picky about my victims, so I'd never target a girl. It'd be like trying to force a square peg in a round hole. Shoto, we get it. You've clearly explained your hobby and your philosophy, but that's not all there is to it. It's a different matter entirely, when you're forced to kill in order to survive. Genocide Jack's smirk faltered for a moment as Shoto spoke, a hint of uncertainty creeping into her eyes. She was clearly not used to having her twisted philosophy questioned, or analyzed in such a cold and clinical manner. Genocide Jack. Quiet. Lowly cur. Genocide Jack. I would never kill for a reason as petty as mere survival, and, if by some fluke I did kill to survive, why would I bother with the message and arrangement? It'd make me the obvious suspect. Genocide Jack's eyes gleamed with a hint of unease as she realized that he was making a fair point. She didn't want to admit it, but he was right. If she were truly just killing to survive, there would be no need for the elaborate setups and attention-seeking displays. Jirao, that does make some amount of sense. Genocide Jack. Plus, whatever reason I have for killing, I would never leave out my prize scissors. Who would go out of their way to use a big stupid heavy dumbbell? Mineta. Maybe you used the dumbbell cause you couldn't find any scissors in the school? Genocide Jack. Any scissors? I don't just use any scissors, I only use my own set of high-class, envy of the entire world scissors. Denki. Okay, whatever, comma. There still aren't any in the school. Genocide Jack, are you sure about that? Da-da-da-da. She pulled out her iconic scissors. The students all gasped in surprise as Genocide Jack revealed her pair of signature scissors, a cold chill running down their spines as the deadly instruments gleamed dully under the light. Mineta. GRGH. She's fully equipped. Genocide Jack. That's right, so I can kill anywhere, anytime. Why would I resort to dumbbells or rope when I have my trusty scissors by my side? Go ahead. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't? Can you? Gutter dogs, all of you. Not to mention, I have no clue how to tie a good knot. So rope's totally out of the question anyway. Lita. NGH. Ugra. I have no idea what's going on anymore. Could such a heinous villain really be innocent? Satao, but the body really was suspended, right? And nobody but the police knew about that. Mina? Yeah, that's why we figured it had to be the real deal, and not some copycat killer, or whatever. Shoto, it's possible you could have found out, isn't it? You'd have no problem gaining access to classified government documents, or internal police records. Plus, you'd already looking through the Genocide Jack file before this all happened, hadn't you? Izuku, I'm looking back, and thinking about it now, the way you were acting right before we discovered the body was a little strange. Shoto, I should have naturally thought of the boys' locker room first. Is that what you want to say? The victim was Toru, a girl. Hence why I said we should check the girls' locker room. Mineta? Nothing strange about that, I'd say. Izuku, on the contrary, there's something very strange. Shoto clenched his fists, his expression darkening as he heard the other's words. Shoto? Very strange, you say? Go on then. Enlighten me. Explain exactly what's so strange about my actions. Mina. So you said Shoto was acting kinda weird before we found the body, but he was acting weird, how? Mineta. If you're presented with the opportunity to check out the girls' locker room, you absolutely take it. That's a natural reaction for any guy. Shoto. The victim was too. Izuku. No, that wrong. Izuku, I'll tell you what's so strange about that, because up until we actually discovered the body, we couldn't have known who the victim was. So your claim that you went to the girls' locker room first, because Toru was the victim doesn't hold up. Shoto flinched, his eyes widening slightly as he realized Izuku was onto him. He had never expected his quick thinking to be used against him like this. Shoto, I see. That's a good answer, I must admit. Interesting. Very interesting, indeed. But your reasoning is still too weak. Izuku, huh? Shoto's eyes narrowed, a sly smile creeping onto his face as he spoke. Shoto, what's wrong? Is that it? Surely you've got more than that. Go ahead, show us. What's the matter? You're not finished already, are you? There must be more to it. Izuku, there is, I think. Shoto, go on then. Let's hear it. Don't hold back now. Not when things are just getting interesting. Momo, there is more to it. Think about it. We just talked about the differences between this case and past Genocide Jack incidents. The proof you're looking for is hidden in there. Shoto. Oh, proof that I'm the culprit, you mean? Genocide Jack. What, the difference between the cases? You want me to explain it again? When I want to kill, I use my very own special scissors, and I use those same scissors to arrange the body. Jirao, but Toru was suspended with. It was some kind of rope, was it not? Lita. That's right, it absolutely was. Mineta. Then there must be something very fishy indeed about that rope. Satao. Hey. Byakuya, where'd you get it from, huh? Shoto. I'd never seen that rope before in my li. Izuku. No, that wrong. Shoto's words trailed off, cutting himself off mid-sentence as he realized that he made a mistake. It was subtle, but everyone heard it loud and clear. Izuku, actually, I'm pretty sure you have seen it before, because you see, that rope, or should I say, that extension cord. Mineta. What, an extension cord? Izuku. Shoto, you've used the extension cord in the library more than once, haven't you? And the same extension cord that was in the library all this time went missing after the murder, and there's no way someone who uses that extension cord as much as you do wouldn't discover that fact. Shoto, that's really what you think? Then your conclusion is something like this? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, then hung her up, and wrote that bloody message. I intentionally made it look like Genocide Jack was behind it. Is that about right? What's wrong? I asked you if you think that's what happened. Satao. Hell yes, that's what happened. So that's it, right? Shoto the killer. Jirao. I don't disagree with not disagreeing. Lita. He kept calling this a game, right? So he'd be totally willing to do something like this to win. Shoto stayed silent as the others pointed their fingers at him, his expression hard to read. He seemed to be struggling internally, as if trying to deny their accusations, but finding it difficult to do so. Izuku, sorry, but could we hold on just a second? I think we need to talk about this a little more. Shoto, is that right? And what, pray tell, is still bothering you? I killed her in the girls' locker room, then disguised my crime. Specifically, I dressed it up to make it look like it was the work of a homicidal psychopath. What about all that bothers you? Izuku, you say you killed Toru in the girls' locker room, right? But are you sure about that? Isn't it possible that the murder took place somewhere else? Shoto, somewhere else? What do you mean by that? Where exactly would the murder site be then? Izuku, the proof that she was killed somewhere else is the poster that's hanging in each locker room. Shoto raised an eyebrow, confused by Izuku's statement. Shoto. Eh? Poster? What does that have to do with anything? Izuku, the poster in the girls' locker room was a picture of a big-boobed supermodel. But don't you think that's kind of strange? Why would the girls' locker room have a poster like that? Meanwhile, the boys' locker room had a poster of the super popular boy band Tornado. Again, that doesn't really seem to belong in a boys' locker room. The others all nodded in agreement, realizing that Izuku was onto something. Satao, wait, you're right, those do seem kinda weird. So what, are you saying the locker rooms were swapped or something? Izuku. And there's one other thing I noticed about the locker rooms. You know what I'm talking about, right Mina? Mina? You're referring to my protein coffee, aren't you? Mineta, protein coffee? Mina. While I was in the girls' locker room earlier, I spilled some protein coffee on the carpet, but I noticed that after the murder, the stain had been totally scrubbed away. Izuku, the stain on the girls' locker room carpet wasn't scrubbed away. In fact, I found it on the boys' locker room carpet. Mina, that's definitely the stain from my protein coffee. Jirao, then, does that mean that the carpets were switched too? But why would anyone do that? Lita, is it possible that the boys' locker room was chosen as the murder site? Could the killer have switched the boys' and girls' rooms for that exact purpose? Jirao, why would they go through all that trouble of switching the scene of the crime? Actually, an even bigger question, if the murder did take place in the boys' locker room, then how did Toru get in the boys' locker room in the first place? Izuku, Jirao, to get into the locker rooms, you have to swipe a handbook across the card reader device. But Chihiro's handbook should have only allowed her access to the girls' locker room. She had no way to get into the boys' locker room to begin with. Denki, no, she did have a way, and I can tell you what it was. Jirao, is it really possible? Could Toru really have gotten into the boys' locker room somehow? Lita, I've got it. She must have hacked her handbook. She was the ultimate programmer after all. I'm sure that would have been no problem for her. Denki, no, I don't think that's it. She used the thing that was in the main hall. Huh? What thing? Denki, I'm talking about Sero Hanbo. Izuku, no, that wrong. Izuku, no, I don't think Toru used Sero handbook. Mineta, then what exactly are you saying? Izuku, because Sero handbook was broken. Jirao, plus, isn't there a regulation against using someone else's handbook? Shadow, Actually, the rule states that loaning your handbook is prohibited. It says nothing about borrowing one. In other words, you could borrow a dead person's handbook all you want, and you'd be safe. Satao, yeah. That sounds right. You can borrow a handbook without any problems. The others nodded their heads in agreement, realizing that Izuku was making a valid point. Kirishima. So if she didn't use Satao handbook, and she didn't modify her own handbook, Denki, then how else could she possibly get into the boys' locker room? Mina. I know how. Everyone turned to look at Mina, curious to hear what she had to say. Mina. Toru, if you listening from the grave, I'm sorry. The room fell silent as everyone considered Mina's words. It seemed like she was addressing Toru directly from beyond the grave. Mina. You know it was a boy and girl locker room, Mina. But not a non-binary one. Kirishima. Dude, you saying what I think you saying. Ajiro. You don't mean. Mina. Toru was gay to be correct, they was non-binary. Satao, wait. Toru was non-binary? The group was stunned by this revelation, none of them aware of Toru's sexuality or gender orientation. Satao, wait. Toru was non-binary? Lita. That makes sense why they were allowed in the locker room. Shoto. Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list them gender as non-binary, then yes, that would be true. Shoto's words seemed to confirm everyone's suspicions, though no one wanted to jump to conclusions just yet. Monokuma, of course his handbook said he was a boy, he dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through. Momo. So then, there should be no issue with Izuku's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved to the girls' locker room, and the killer could have easily used a Chaco handbook to get into the girls' locker room. Lita. So Toru really was killed in the boys' locker room? Mina. But why did the killer switch rooms though? Isn't that kinda risky? Like, moving a dead body and all? Shoto. So now everything has been connected. All the mysteries have finally become clear. Mina. Okay. Well, connected or clear or whatever. We still think you're the killer, remember? Momo. What about you? Izuku. After everything we've learned, do you still think Shoto the killer? Izuku. I'm not sure anymore. Izuku. He just seems to be too easygoing about all this, like he's enjoying us solving the mystery. The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him. Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too, how can I put it, overt. He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it. And Shoto, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again when you found out Toru was actually a non-binary. If you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you. Shoto. Shoto stayed silent, his expression giving nothing away as he listened to what Izuku had to say. Satao, you know what? I think he's right. Shaoji, yeah. There's really no point in blaming him anymore, is there? Shoto, he's right. I am not the culprit. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room, and decided to alter it. Jirao, wait. Wait, you're saying you altered the scene of a murder? Shoto. Yes, so I can reveal Genocide Jack. Shoto, now then, if it wasn't me, who was it? Izuku, I believe someone else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Jirao? Jirao, now that you mention it, yes, I did see them. Mineta. Huh? Really? Jirao nodded, confirming she did in fact see the victim before the murder happened. Lita. Could you tell us what you saw? Jirao, it was last night. Right before nighttime, I saw Toru in the dormitory warehouse. I saw them stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag, and then, I assume they headed off to exercise. Lita. A track jacket and a duffel bag? But we didn't find anything like that at the murder scene. Bakugo. It seems likely that the culprit destroyed them to get rid of any evidence. Jirao, Toru told me they was in a hurry. But why would they be in a hurry? Only if someone were waiting for them, I should think. Momo. Izuku, you know who the killer is. Think back to the track jacket and duffel bag the killer disposed of. Focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who was waiting for him. Momo, first of all, we know where Toru was headed. There was on their way to go exercise. So next we have to ask, why did he choose the specific tracksuit that they did? Shoto. What do you mean, the specific tracksuit? Lita. I got it. He picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing. Satao. So what you're saying is the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him? My tracksuit is blah. Izuku. No, that wrong. Izuku, hold on a second. Satao, what did you just say? Satao looked confused by the interruption. Satao, what? I was just saying my tracksuit is black, not blue like the one the Toru was wearing. Izuku. When Jirao testified a few minutes ago, she said, She never said anything about the jacket's color. So why did you say Toru blue tracksuit? A look of surprise crossed to Sato's face as he realized his mistake. Mina? Now that you mention it, Jirao never did say anything about the color of the jacket. Bakugo? Hey, Jirao, what color was Toru tracksuit? Jirao, well, if I remember correctly, I think it was blue. Izuku, and before we began the trial, did you tell anyone that? Jirao, no. I didn't say anything about it before this trial, I swear. Bakugo? Then, Sato, how did you know what color Toru tracksuit was? Sato, because Lita. I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation. Sato. Why yeah, that's it. I must have seen the tracksuit while we were investigating the gym storage room. Momo. No, that can't be it. The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation. Genocide Jack. Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before they died. That's the only possibility. Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you? Sato opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He looked guilty and ashamed, unable to deny the accusation. Izuku, Sato, was it really you? Did you really kill Toru? Sato looked down at the floor. His shoulders slumped in defeat. After a long moment, he spoke. Sato. Yes, I did it. Izuku, okay. Then why don't we look back on this case one more time, from the beginning? That way, everything will become clear, and we'll all see if I was right or wrong. Izuku, first, let's take a look back to before the incident. Last night, Jiru saw Toru in the warehouse, correct? At the time, she was apparently stuffing something into a duffel bag. That something was a blue tracksuit. You can confirm this, right, Jirao? With bag in hand, Toru headed out. Even though it was officially nighttime, she made her way to the locker room, specifically, the boys' locker room. But how could the victim, who was apparently a girl, access the boys' locker room? Simple, because she was really a them, which is why he was able to use his own handbook to gain entrance to the boys' locker room. Once inside, they met with someone there, and the person he met was the one who killed them. It seems likely that the killer grabbed the nearby dumbbell, approached the unsuspecting Toru, and attacked them, and that's where the bloodstains on the poster and carpeting in the boys' locker room come from. It was likely in the heat of the moment, the body was arranged, but the murder itself felt unplanned, which is why the killer hurried to try and hide the act. First, pulling up the blood-stained carpet, then removing the bloody poster, and finally carrying the corpse into the girls' locker room. A girl's handbook was necessary to get into the locker room, of course, but this alone doesn't prove that the killer was necessarily a girl. After all, Ochako handbooks had been placed in the main hall. Using one of those, a boy could get into the girls' locker room without much problem, and that's exactly how the killer did it. With the carpet and the poster they'd brought with them, they got to work. They changed the layout of the boys' and girls' locker room, in what you might call a crime scene switch. That could have been the end of things, but no, Shoto discovered the body, and decided to intervene in the situation, making things even more complicated. So, after stumbling on the crime scene, he went and grabbed the extension cord from the library, and then he got to work. He used the cord to string up Toru's lifeless body. Then, using the victim's own blood, he left a grisly message there at the scene of the crime. He wanted to create the illusion that Genocide Jack was responsible for the slaughter. And around the same time that Byakuya was putting together this facade, the killer, having already disposed of Toru's bag and other belongings, arrived at the sauna. There, they planned to destroy the last piece of evidence, Toru's handbook. And just as the killer expected, the steamy sauna was enough to ruin the electronic gadget. Somehow, the killer knew that the handbook couldn't stand up to the heat of the sauna, and the reason they knew that is because the sauna had already wrecked their own handbook. And that's how it all played out. Isn't that right, Rikidao Sato? Sato was speechless as Izuku laid it all out for everyone. Everyone was quiet as they processed this information, and the true nature of the case became clear. Sato opened his mouth to protest, but he wasn't able to deny any of it. Lita, wait. No, this can't be right. Where's your evidence? Why yeah. Where's your evidence? You need evidence. You need proof. Without any proof, you can't pin any of this on him. Lita's outburst caused a murmur to go through the group, some starting to doubt the validity of Izuku's claims. Izuku, if my thinking so far is right, Sato must have replaced his broken handbook with Sero, in which case, we can just check each of out handbooks right now. Once we do that, Sato, we don't gotta do that. Lita, bro, what are you saying? Sato let out a long sigh. He knew there was no reason to deny it anymore. Sato, they're right. Everything they said is true. I really am the murderer. Go ahead, Monokuma, get it over with. Ask for the goddamn verdict. Monokuma, No waiting, no holding on, time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Grab your lever, and give it a yank. Who will you elect as the Blackened this time around? Will you make the right choice, or the dreadfully wrong one? Monokuma? Oh, this time it looks like you got it right again. Yes, it is so. The Blackened that killed Toru Hagakure was Rikidao Satao. Monokuma, in case you're wondering, the vote was not unanimous. Tenaya chose the wrong answer. You're treading very close to the danger zone, Mr. Lita. You need to be more careful. Lita, I refuse to believe it. There's no way he would kill someone. Run up to him. Lita ran up to Satao, desperate to understand. Lita, Satao, tell me why you did it. Satao, I was jealous. I was jealous of Toru's strength. They had the strength to face his own weakness, to try and overcome it. It was the kind of strength I've never had, so I was jealous of them, and that jealously broke. Monokuma. Well, while we're on the subject, why don't I tell you that embarrassing memory, that secret he didn't want anyone to know? You know what Satao did? Monokuma. He killed his own brother. Shock went through the group as Monokuma dropped this bombshell. They had no idea that Satao had such a dark past. Monokuma, tell them why, Satao, you did it. Satao, sigh. I don't know why. I just couldn't stand being around him anymore. The way he would look at me, like I was nothing. It drove me crazy. It's like I was this worthless weakling next to him. Monokuma, I'm getting bored. At time for punishment time. Satao didn't protest, staring down at the floor in acceptance of his fate. Everyone was quietly staring at him, still trying to come to terms with the revelation of his crime. Lita, you mean execution? Monokuma chuckled, his sadistic grin visible. Monokuma, yep, you got it right. It's time for a good old-fashioned execution. Lita, hold on. Monokuma, now then, I've prepared a very special punishment for Rikidao Satao. Lita, and no, wait. Monokuma, let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time. Satao, sorry man, I couldn't keep the promise we made. From one man to another, Lita was struggling internally, the weight of his emotions almost too much to bear. He wanted to stop the execution, but he didn't know what to do. Execution title: Sugar Crash. Phase 1, the Sugar Rush Treadmill. Satao is strapped to a giant, high-speed treadmill inside a massive candy factory. A robotic arm force feeds him spoonfuls of sugar, activating his sugar rush quirk, and forcing him to run faster and faster. The treadmill keeps accelerating, and his muscles start bulging unnaturally as he struggles to keep up. Phase 2, the Candy Grinder. The treadmill leads straight into the opening of a gigantic industrial candy mixer, with enormous rotating blades coated in chocolate. Satao's strength allows him to hold on to the edge, trying to resist the pull, but the machine dumps even more sugar onto him, making his body shake uncontrollably as the sugar rush overclocks his system. Phase 3, the Final Stir. With his overloaded body unable to hold on, Satao loses his grip, and is sucked into the mixer, where his silhouette is seen spinning violently inside. The machine churns at high speed, splattering chocolate everywhere. Phase 4, the Sweet, Ironic End. The machine stops, and a giant claw scoops out a perfectly wrapped Satao-shaped chocolate bar with his face imprinted on the wrapper. The conveyor belt moves the bar forward, where Monokuma picks it up, takes a bite, and gives a thumbs up. Everyone was stunned into silence as they watched the bizarre and cruel execution play out before them. They couldn't believe that this was happening to Satao, their friend and classmate. Each phase was more sadistic than the last, and it was clear that Monokuma had planned every detail to maximize pain and humiliation. Monokuma, laugh at death, and your soul will forever be at peace. Lita, it can't be my brother. Lita let out a cry of anguish, his emotions finally overflowing. He collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down his face as he struggled to come to terms with what he had witnessed. Izuku, can we just leave? The others nodded quietly, their expressions downcast as they looked around the room. With the trial finally over, the only thing left to do was wait for Monokuma to end the trial, and let them leave. Monokuma's signature laughter filled the room, signaling the conclusion of the trial. Monokuma, that brings us to the end of this trial. It looks like you guys successfully solved the case. And right when it looked like we were about to break a new record too. Somewhere top secret. Monokuma, well, anyway, like I was saying, this is a pretty good spot. Yeah, a really good spot. Anyway, isn't it amazing how that girl went and killed someone before things even had a chance to get boring? Once things really get moving, it'll be like a roller coaster. There won't be any stopping it. Fear and despair charge forward at a speed nothing can hope to match. But I must admit, I'm disappointed. I went to all the pain and effort of making you part of the group, and you couldn't play your part. You do remember you were supposed to make the first move, right? Well, no biggie. Nothing we can do about it now, so just do your best to make things more exciting from now on, okay? After all, that's what everyone wants to see. Manamaru chuckled to himself, sipping on a cup of tea as he enjoyed the despair and chaos that had been unfolding. There's one thing I'd like to ask you. Manamaru paused, his ears perking up at the voice. Manamaru, you have a question for me? Manamaru chuckled slightly, amused by the question. Manamaru, well, if I told you, it'd be no fun. End of chapter 2.